Our next keynote this morning is from Huawei, and it's Fernando Garcia Calvo, who's Director of Huawei Video Business Europe. Fernando has been passionate about TV and video for some 22 years, he tells us. He's a real advocate, working in Telefonica R&D between 1995 and 2009, and he joined Huawei in May 2017. Fernando.
Thank you, everybody, especially for inviting me to participate in this event. I must admit that I'm one of those that never heard about FITCE before. So, although I'm a telecommunication engineer, I graduated in Madrid 20 years ago, more than that. So I love to be here. I love this city. This is a picture that I took yesterday when I was walking back to the hotel after your lovely dinner, with a Huawei phone for sure. And then let me take the speech more. I'm not talking about anything technologically here. I'm just talking about the business and how we are understanding the business and the evolution, but from a slightly different angle that some of my previous colleagues here before. I will try to set the focus on the mobile phone, because I think the mobile is transforming the way we consume content, and it's becoming a kind of different device that comes with us every day. And when I was preparing this presentation, I came across this quote from the last Deloitte mobile consumer survey, and I think it represents very well what the mobile phone is affecting in our daily lives, because it combines two of the main needs that we are having as human beings. So the need of pleasure, instant satisfaction, and we have the temptation of picking up the phone for whatever thing, is just talking, chatting, watching video, news, etc. And it's clearly something that we will be fighting against our own nature to try to control some of these impulses. So the mobile is changing a lot our lives, and for sure the industry as well. So I came with this idea of setting what is the landscape of the video industry if we look from a different angle, opposite to the revenues or value chain diagrams. Those are good if you're analyzing the business. But I think what is making the change really happening is the end user, is all of us when we are the users and not the companies that are building up. So I came with this idea of why don't we create this diagram talking about engagement, so how happy I am with what we are using, with the services that I'm giving entertainment to me, and what is my preferred device for consumption. So if we put this, I think it would be very easy to set all of the different partners and companies in the ecosystem. And in fact, you will see that those on the top are following an on-demand consumption, and those at the bottom are following the traditional linear-based or event-based. So this first area is an area that didn't exist like 4 or 5 years ago. So we have to thank you, these guys, for disrupting the industry and then creating a mode of consumption that we as consumers love. So we are used to have long sessions between 1, 2, 3 hours per day with all of these partners that are truly global. Sometimes you have some local companies in each of the countries where you are fighting or you are competing with some areas, but this area didn't exist just some years ago. And in fact, when you talk to consumers, we talk a lot with consumers in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in the UK, and when you talk to them, they say, no, I go home and I switch on my television, but I put on Netflix or Amazon. And then I ask them, but what were you doing 2 years ago when you hadn't that? And they say, well, I was watching television. So you just change radically the way that you were consuming entertainment. They say, yes. So sometimes we, from the industry, we don't realize how rapidly this changing is happening, but it's already here and it's accelerating that far. I will bring some figures to prove that. So it's very good to talk with the users normally. Then you have this area, I put it on the right. This is, let's say, the social video, the personal video. These are normally feeds that I don't share with anybody. I want to have it on my own. It was before on the computer, but now it's becoming on the phone. So I normally don't project my Instagram feed to the television. It's just for me. So that's why I put them on the right. But YouTube has been able to be in the middle. So normally you have people that are watching YouTube on the television. They want to use YouTube as another channel that they are using for entertainment. And now YouTube is also coming with more things. I also came up with this idea, this third quadrant here at the bottom right. I think this is another threat or trend that is appearing. These are the OTT premium sports player. And these are companies that are starting, well, Twitch is not premium sport, but it's, for some people, it's premium, it's EA Sports, it's gaming. But there are companies that's likely appearing in some of these areas, especially in Europe, but also in the States, that are grabbing some rights, those expensive rights from sports, and they are coming up with some ideas or subscribing or putting some subscription-based service. So we should pay attention to these companies, because I think they are setting a new trend, like perhaps the one that appeared just 5 years ago on the top left. And then where are the traditional pay TV players? Where is Sky? Where is Everything Everywhere? Where is Telefonica? Where are all of them? Well, I avoided to put any names here, but those orange orange boxes are the traditional pay TV. Sometimes I use we because I still feel like my brain is in Telefonica. So they used to be aggregators, and they used to be the single point of entertainment on the house. So not that far ago, we just subscribed to Sky and we had everything. Now, the aggregator is no longer Sky or BT. The aggregator is the user, because the user is deciding which of this window he's selecting to watch the content. So now the aggregation role is lost or is spread across the industry. For sure, the free-to-air television. So here is BBC, my previous colleague. But the free-to-air television is also suffering a lot from this change of consumption towards a fully on-demand. UK, you were one of the pioneers with iPlayer, and that is, when you will see some figures later, is clearly you made this transition easier, so you are not under some threat. But if you look at the figures for even the value in the stock market of some of the free-to-air televisions, for instance in Spain, they are going down. And also the revenues on advertising. So clearly these companies have to discover new ways to engage with the users, because this type of consumption is disappearing very rapidly because of all of these offers. And in fact, the next ones under threat, in my opinion, are the traditional pay TV players, because the content that they used to have as a claim, the exclusive content for series or movies, is going up to the blue bubbles, or is going to the left to the green bubbles. So it's clearly these two areas are under threat in this big ecosystem. So I normally present for telcos these three red areas that there are room for improvement. There are possibilities and opportunities and challenges that you can take to move around. So there are options, and for sure one of them are being right now executed, like aggregating, trying to reclaim back the role of being an aggregator that I used to have when I was an operator just 5 years ago. So that's why we are seeing all those deals with Netflix, Amazon integrated in other services. Or capture, because there's still growth or competition, so you can capture with latest technologies, with more features, you can capture other users. So for instance, the Now TV product from Sky is clearly targeting penetration in other households that are perhaps not willing to pay for the traditional pay TV. And the third bubble, which I will be concentrating my session on, is, hey, I think there's a space left here, and perhaps it's the most uncertain, complicated area to define, but there's a value proposition that can fit into that. So I will try to focus more on that area, because the mobile, as I said before, is clearly a screen. It's an entertainment screen. When we saw the evolution of the mobile technology, your table down at the entrance, it's clearly those mobiles were not suitable for that, but the ones that we're having in our pockets are definitely an entertainment device in a wide sense. So, and it's not only that, but the connectivity, the cheapest connectivity as well, the ubiquitous connectivity is making us doing that. And there's a lot of innovation, and I will comment about that on those contents. And you have see also that there are data also proving that the growth on the usage of the mobile is growing. So that's what I think, that the mobile is becoming more and more important in entertainment. I would like to also show that this picture that I have just shown is very dynamic, as we all know. And just to give the latest news from the last months, you will see lots of things happening here. For the big players that are doing great deals, they are investing a lot of money. 18 billion in content, in dollars in content were invested last year. There are companies like this gray bubble. If you are following the news, but Winco is another investment fund that is creating high quality mobile only content. You also have companies like Dreams, like Blackbeard. So there are a lot of startup activity around those kind of content. So we may see a lot of new stuff coming, fully designed and defined for a mobile entertainment. And to this screen, either vertical or horizontal, but there's a lot of that. And also on this green area that I said before, hey, pay attention to these areas. Clearly there are things happening and it will change a lot. But here in the UK, you have Amazon entering into the Premier League, you have 11 Sports. Even the Formula One is considering in some countries to open up the signal, not just the metadata and the real-time statistic, but the signal in some of the countries. They are thinking about going OTT. Football TV, which is one of the main sports player in the States, is coming to Europe. They are already launching in Spain as well, besides the Bain Connect and all of the ones that I said before. So there's a lot of activity here. Even in China, it's happening that well. So the clone of Netflix, which is iQIYI, is now bundling sports on the same service. So it's a transformation. And definitely the TV stations, the broadcasters are doing a lot of things together, and what they thought before to be competitors, now they are allies, and there are many good initiatives to combine things together. So perhaps this one in Germany from ProSieben and Discovery that will be launching an OTT service very soon is a good combination of different broadcasters and trying to put together a good value proposition. In Spain, they also reached an agreement with Loves TV. In Spain it says Lobes TV, but it's kind of a funny name. So they are combining together technologies to have an HBB TV service for all of the markets. So there are things happening. The thing is that perhaps the pay TVs, the telcos, are not moving that fast. Normally, I could only found some good news that at least the Atrium TV, which is a combined effort to produce high quality content between different countries and different telcos. So Deutsche Telekom is part of that as well. But clearly the picture is changing a lot, and we should be aware. And I think the one that doesn't move will lose the track of this picture. So then going back to the mobile. So what is the mobile? When we talk about mobile video, I found many times different meanings. And for some of the telcos, mobile video is here on the left. Okay, yes, I will give a dedicated tariff plan. I will give you a bonus. I will give you a voucher just to consume video. Well, for me, that's not mobile video. You are just monetizing what others are doing, but you are not part of that value chain. So I think what you have to do, and I will get deeper into that, is, well, what is this kind of consumption on a mobile phone? What are the characteristics of the consumption when we pick up our phone and start watching content either vertically or horizontally? Who are these people? What they want? Do the same TV rules apply? Because sometimes we have to go back and destroy some of the principles that we have been thinking for the traditional television. These are different type of consumption. Even young people, young generation, which don't have the same principles that we are used to in the traditional content. So well, and after you come up with that proposition, well, perhaps you can combine both things and then aggregate with your own service, some special tariffs, but then you come across the regulation and then different ways to treat the traffic, etc. You can cooperate or compete with OTT players. So it's a difficult area. So that's why I think we are starting to see that. And I used this slide also to show the waves, because in the history of the telecommunication, we used to have the voice as the main revenue, but then voice is almost, we have forgotten about voice. Then it came the data, and the data successfully covered the revenues going down from the voice. Then we have the television as well. So television was used by many of the telcos as an easy way, as an obvious way to move on into the entertainment industry, but obviously the revenues were much smaller than the rest of them. Then it came the SVOD wave, this 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's clearly growing and growing. Then it came the mobile television, or the mobile video. Some of the telcos did, and we did that as well at Telefonica, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, we had like a mobile 1.0 television service. We put some channels, we put some app, and we claimed that we have a mobile video proposition. In fact, all of them were unsuccessful because people didn't want or didn't have the device to enjoy that. That is a different thing that compared with what we are having right now. And that's why I think that those attempts are now perhaps going up much faster. Then the OTT sport that I mentioned before, keep an eye on that for sure. Well, in VR, etc., there might be other things. We may discuss a lot about what's coming next, as what the BBC just shown. There are many things there. I'm trying to stop on the today and the next months. So data. What is the data that proves that there's something happening on the mobile phone? Because we perhaps make our own opinion based on our own usage or our close relatives or friends. But if you take just aggregated data, this is from Oyala, I think you're familiar with this. This is the Global Video Index from EMEA, so not the global one, but just EMEA. So the mobile, the phone, as you can see, is well above other, and the PC is declining. That's what in my opinion, the large TV screen and the personal TV are the winning devices here. So tablets and PCs are either flat or declining by far, because I have an option of picking up my phone, which is nice enough to enjoy the content on my own. So the PC and the tablets, I don't think that there will be a good entertainment device compared with the large and the small one. Then, if you can see there at the bottom, what type of content, how long the people are used to spend on a mobile phone? Well, it's not that short content anymore. It's comfortable enough to start going longer sessions. So it's 5 to 20 minutes. But if you will see later that there are even more longer sessions. The graphic on the right, this is from Ampere Analysis. I like a lot this company because they are coming from the video industry as well, and they are coming up with very good ideas, analysis, and comparisons. So look at the mobile. The mobile is going up. It has overtaken the desktop for sure, and it's the smart TV and the smartphone on the top, and still growing, or at least on a high speed. This is based just on a customer survey. It's not data, but just talking with the user, what they are using for the last 2 or 3 years. So it's clearly a dual device battle here. I like a lot Ofcom, and I don't know if the Ofcom person is already here. I like a lot, and I use them, the data. And this is the data from last year. This is not the MediaNations report, but I like this a lot because it compares countries. And the UK is the first column on the left. And you can see funny things here. So this is not a mobile only, so this includes all kind of contents and all kind of devices. So this is a way to taste what people like in general. So on the top you can see the TV programs, the traditional programs, which is normally equally high. Perhaps the USA is lower, as you can see there. Then the programs, broadcasters, films. I like a lot the last one, because this proves that you here in the UK, you are one of the most advanced in terms of having on-demand catch-up consumption. Perhaps because the BBC player and on all of the other broadcasters that jumped into that trend, but you are by 20 points or much more than 20 points different or above the rest of the countries, even in Europe. So that makes you different to the others. And then the two that I have highlighted down there, this is the personal, this is the social video, etc. And we can see here funny differences between the countries as well. Look at Spain and Italy there. We love to be social, so you can see that we are above the rest, so especially Italy there, so the light blue and the purple one. So, well, this is just a consequence of the different society, but it is interesting that the amount of people that say that they are consuming social video or short form video. It's not just the television. And remember, this is 60 compared with 35. So it's not that far. I mean, it's half of the people that are watching television are also watching the rest. This is just from the latest report from MediaNations that Ofcom was showing us yesterday. I like this also a lot because it reflects what are the minutes invested, how long are the time spent on other content that is not the traditional one. So it proves, in my opinion, that there's a new trend, there's a seek for new forms of entertainment that perhaps not right now is very disaggregated in different platforms, either Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or many other sites, but there is a seek for that kind of content. And perhaps what we are not seeing here in that graph is the evolution of that, because that is, for me, the most important part is the path and the rate by which this is growing, which is much faster than the other ones. So this is another data from Deloitte. Deloitte, the global mobile consumption, this is a very good report because they did the same study all across the world. So, and there was a chapter dedicated to mobile consumption. So these are the data from the UK. I brought just the UK data, but you can search in the internet and you can compare all of the different countries. So look what people watch on a mobile phone, starting from the short form videos, instant messaging or shared videos, news, and then traditional one. So clearly we know this, but look at the proportion here and what is, in my opinion, most important. Look at the opportunity that is there. I mean, those are the people that are still not using the phone for entertainment, but they will very likely start using that. Because when you compare to this is also UK data from the same report, look at the different age groups and what are they consuming. So what we may think that this is just for young people, hey, look at the column for the 35 to 44. Look at the column, which is the fourth. It's not that far in some of those. So what we thought to be just a young consumption, but it's no longer that. I hate the word millennials because it looks like only young people can have this way of consuming. It's no longer that. I mean, it's your own attitude who defines if you are a millennial or not. And people are adopting those patterns much faster than what we thought. So it's accelerating. So it's clear when you talk to real people that the level of acceleration, the speed of acceleration is much faster than when we can be thinking here. And the change in the society and the behavior is much faster than what we had in the last 100 years when we had the television. Great device, changing from black and white to color, better sound, higher screen. No, this is accelerating right very, very, very fast. So because of that, the insights, in my opinion, for what is defining this attitude. So I highlighted these four. So the mobile is used on the go or at home, but as another internet device. So let's not talk only about 5G because it's the consumption, the need for entertainment is always with me. If I'm at home, I will use Wi-Fi. If I'm on the go, I may use 5G depending on my traffic data plan. But it's the need. I'm trying to go further. I'm going to go beyond, trying to understand the need, the reason why. And the reason why is that this is an entertainment device that comes always with me. If you have kids, I don't need to explain this to you because you will be seeing that every day in your house. But people are seeking for entertainment every day. So it's kind of an instant satisfaction what they need. And that's how Facebook or Instagram are so good at doing that, because they immediately engage with you and they try to trap you. For the next half an hour or 2 hours, depending on your age, you are trapped. But this is changing also the need. So people need more and more of that entertainment. And it's a question of the attention. Whenever we see the traditional figures of audience ratings of any TV program, hey, I don't trust them anymore. Because who is only watching television in front of a television? Who is not having a device, normally your personal phone before it was a tablet? I mean, the attention, it's impossible to measure, but the level of attention, so who are you really putting your attention in? Is not the television, the normal television. That is a companion, sound or entertainment, but perhaps you are doing other things on the palm of your hand. Unfortunately, instead of talking with the people that perhaps are sitting next to you. But it's a problem of attention, what we're saying. I like a lot what Reed Hastings was saying at the beginning of his Netflix story, and then he said, I'm not competing with other pay TV players, I'm competing with PlayStation. Because at the moment that the people sit in the couch and decide to pick the gamepad instead of the remote control, I've lost that battle. So he said at the very beginning that he was trying to get the highest attention and the highest engagement. So we should also to try to think wider than just not just the traditional rating systems. So it's very difficult to define the situation in this environment where there are new ways of consumption, new types of formats, and therefore there are many companies that have tried to do this. So we are like riding a wave that is coming, that some guys are trying and falling, others are trying and succeeding. So in this case, I just brought some example. I will not extend a lot, but there's the watchable example from the Comcast. They try to aggregate and produce content from YouTube-like Go90. Well, I would put also this because this is the consequence. This is what they tried and what they end up doing. So some of these have been a failure, like CISO from NBC Universal or VidMe. There were startups trying to do a different model. They failed to do that. But because of these failures, it doesn't mean that not a good attempt. So there are things that are coming also from the multi-channels. Facebook Watch is already launched in Europe. Instagram television, if you have, please do test this application. It was launched not that far ago, I think 2 months ago or so. So just look at that, because this would be the YouTube killer. Let's see what has happened, but it definitely combines the social engagement for the younger generations with instant video from them. And many people that were born on YouTube are now going away from YouTube because of the share that they are taking away, etc., etc. So it's clearly something happening all around this mobile consumption, and I think there's a new way of entertainment and content. But perhaps the right approach, as I'm saying at the bottom, is the combination of the long form and short form, because as we have seen before, the user still consider that this screen is good enough to spend time watching a TV series, an episode, or even a movie. It depends on your age, basically, that one. And just to finish, I will not describe this, but just use this because we are a global company, Huawei, and because we have customers all around the world, we can compare easily different regions and different partners. And what we've seen, for instance, in this example from Korea, from China, from Turkey, and I will not spend a minute, is that perhaps the mobile consumption in emerging regions, it's much deeper, wider, and bigger than what we are having in Europe. These guys normally use the mobile phone as an escape for other things, and they are using that every day, much more than we do. So the experimentation in those countries, in those regions, could be good for us to keep an eye and see what is working and what is not. Besides the cultural differences, that there are a lot, but these countries has been successfully launching mobile-only video services, and especially some operators, like these ones, are doing very good in their markets. And just to finish, I wrote these 10 rules. So these are the 10 rules of the industry, like the content is king, like the marketing is equally and constantly important to the content. The content owners are commanding the industry, so if you are a distributor, you have to understand very well that one. You have to think of integrating services, not just content. You used to integrate content if you are a distributor. Now you have to integrate services from third party. It would be Netflix, it could be BBC Player, etc. So it's changing a lot the way that this market and this industry has been growing. So what I put it, and just to finish, is which are the areas that we are focusing from Huawei, and this is the final slide. So we are definitely working in having deals with the content owners, or perhaps you never thought that Huawei was talking with content owners. We do have a team even based in Los Angeles, so we are having content deals as well. You will see sooner or later that we are launching our own video service in some countries for mobile. We are also putting a lot of effort in measuring the quality, so creating tools that can measure the overall quality, even the subjective quality, not just the network quality, but also the experience quality of the service. So we have developed standards and tools that have been proposed to standardization bodies for that, and we do have solutions in cloud, etc. So I'm not here to explain all of the capabilities of Huawei, because you know already, but perhaps showing that we are even getting farther than our traditional technological space, and understanding that this business has to change, and we are changing with it. So that's it.